next year. It'll be 6,000. The first 6,000 folks who are in the building will get a scratch-off card. 1,500 will receive the little replica floor. We've also got some Henson T-shirts that are going out to Orange Crush, and
Brad got samples of those for these guys afterwards.
okay, good. So we have some samples if you guys would.
Yeah.
Is that a fridge magnet?
What's that?
What is it?
It's a little replica of the floor.
Does it have a magnet on it?
It does not have a magnet, but you can stick one on there, Rob, if you like.
Okay, thank you.
It's sold separately. Yeah.
What's up, Ken? All right. What's up, Top? Obviously, exciting week with the game tomorrow night and the reopening of the State Farm Center. Yesterday was our first opportunity to practice in there. Guys came early to get shots up, and it was interesting because I was able to really keep up to speed with the progress the building was making. Certainly during these last few phases, from the end of last season until the beginning of this season, up until about a month ago, because we were living out of a suitcase the entire month of November, I didn't get in there nearly as much as I would have previous to that. So it was, even for me, I didn't anticipate being quite as shocked as I was yesterday when I walked in there. And to see what they've been able to do in 1 month, which is about the last time I was in there, is utterly amazing. I give a lot of credit certainly to Warren Hood and Tom Diven, all the construction workers. I just want to say thank you to all those people who worked around the clock to get the building prepared for tomorrow night. Obviously, in addition to it being the reopening of the State Farm Center, we're also officially dedicating the court to Coach Henson, and as I've said many times, well-deserved. Happy for not only him but for Mary and his entire family. Obviously, congratulations to him as well on the Hall of Fame induction, and just really feel very privileged to know him and his family, and I'm very honored to have the support certainly that he's given me, our staff, and our team since we arrived. So that'll be special to be able to do that as well tomorrow night. Obviously, lost Big Mike here with the surgery we had yesterday. The surgery went well, and our docs do just such a terrific job of handling those situations, as does Paul. And Mike is resting today. I thought the surgery, just from listening to him, was a successful one. And as teammates and staff and support staff, we'll do everything we can to support Mike, moving forward. So practice yesterday in there, as I said, for the first time. We were just okay yesterday. Obviously we're going to have to make an adjustment here or there based on personnel, and do the best job we can with that. I thought the guys were very open-minded yesterday. Today we'll have another preparation day for a very good Notre Dame team. I think offensively they're terrific. Obviously Jackson's kind of the head of the snake, if you will, but they've got shooters around them. August is a load inside. He can really rebound. He's a double-double guy. He can pass. I love his athleticism and his mobility, and they've got guys on that team that have won big, whether that's an ACC tournament championship or been in the Elite Eight. They're very good on that end of the floor. So, we'll have our hands full. I know the guys are looking forward to playing in there tomorrow night. We're excited about that. I hope and hearing that it's going to be a great turnout, as it should be. We've got just a tremendous fan base that cares deeply. I know they're excited about the opening of the arena, just like our players are, just like our staff is. And we've got to be ready to roll tomorrow night at 8:15 Central Time. Questions?
John, regarding Mike's injury, is it similar to what LeBron had, or
There are some similarities, but there are also some things that aren't. His was a removal. His was, and I don't know the fancy terminology. I'm certainly not a doctor, so I'm not going to pretend to be one. But they had to do, something else. Nothing out of the ordinary or major, but it certainly influences recovery. And then obviously, as a lot of you know, Mike has had some with diabetes, so all that kind of factors in to his ability to recover. But I know Mike will be very diligent, and I know Paul and the doctors will do a great job.
I got all kinds of questions. Number one, I'm told that he could redshirt, and then I'm also told by somebody else that they're not favorable toward transfer students getting a 6th-year. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't. There's no timetable on it right now. He's out indefinitely. There's a lot of variables. We're going to do what's right for Mike. I certainly can't speak for the NCAA and what they do with each individual case. I do think it's just that. It's based on each individual case. Was it removed? Yes. Was there, and I can't remember the exact terminology, so I just don't want to give you anything that's inaccurate. But they have to, is there, some concern yesterday in addition to the meniscus that they took care of? Yes. Is the fact is he diabetic? Yes. So we're going to do what's right for Mike. Is that people ask, is it potentially season ending? Sure. Absolutely. We're going to prepare with a contingency plan as if he's not coming back, and that is what it is. In terms of what gets decided by all that stuff, this is just too fresh. It just really happened in the last 24 to 48 hours to dig into like precedent and all that. I don't even know if that's a very valuable use of time. So the biggest concern we have right now is Mike's health and doing the right thing for Mike Thorne.
Have you been given a timetable for the timetable? Has anyone said we'll know more of what this will look like in a certain amount of time?
No. Too many variables there.
John, what is your contingency plan? What will you do with him out personnel-wise?
Well, obviously we're a little bit different. It's hard to replace a guy with, with one player of Mike's ability and size. There's not a lot of 6'11", 270-pound guys walking around campus. But we've got to turn that somehow into a positive with, our style of play. Maybe it could potentially, will eventually evolve and change. How quickly can you do that in 24 to 48 hours? Tell you I'm a magician, but that'd be false too. But I do think what we certainly have with our guys, there's guys that have certain strengths, and we're going to play to those strengths. And I've got great confidence in our guys. And one of the things that's happened because of the amount of injuries is there's some guys that have maybe played more minutes than normal, probably, being through 7 games. So they've had to be baptized by fire a little bit, and maybe that makes them a little bit more prepared and ready for not only tomorrow night but moving forward. We'll see. I do think we have certainly some talented guys, but we've got to have more winning habits, especially on the defensive end of the floor, more consistency there. I did think that we took a step in a positive direction in Florida, for sure. I thought we played first 60 minutes there. I thought we played really, really well, especially considering, guys are still working to get back to full strength. Some guys were playing their first or second game. I thought we, really made some strides there defensively, especially in the first 60 minutes. The last 20 I wasn't as thrilled with, but we've got to get back to, emphasizing what we did during those 60 minutes and build on that and see if we can get better. And then offensively, we've got to use, certain guys have skill sets that are strengths, and it's our job to try to put them in position to be successful.
John, how much of your trust has grown, or your expectations in Maverick grown in the first?
Mav's gotten a lot better. He's improved a great deal. Obviously, he's been very efficient offensively. You know, he's you know, working to be a consistent defender, and he knows the system. Mav's smart. He sees things both offensively and defensively. He's got a gift with that, in addition to the fact that he has experience. So, you know, obviously Mav and other guys on our roster right now, some opportunity has opened up. You know, you got to have a next man up mentality when we've been in these situations, and there's an open door for some guys to take advantage of certainly the minutes that Mike has currently left behind. And you know, we'll see who steps up and snatches those. And you know, I'm confident we've got some guys obviously that desire to do that. You know, it's a matter right now of, I always say, players play players. You know, we've got a lot of talented guys, but it's getting them to play Illinois basketball consistently. You know, that's kind of where we're at with some of them.
You put Laurent at the 5. How does that change things for what you do?
Well, LeBron's learning 2 positions as a second-year guy, which is pretty typical for us. The other night, you know, I probably left him out there a little bit too long. That was dictated by matchups a little bit. You know, we lost Mike there at the end of the first half. You know, I thought that influenced their guys that they played a little bit, allowed them to go smaller. You know, we decided to match up smaller. And I thought Laurent had a terrific first half. In the second half, being where he's at in his comeback conditioning and all that, I probably left him out there a little bit too long. But, you know, obviously, it goes without saying, without Mike out there, some of our lineups will be smaller, you know, obviously. You know, Laurent's one of those guys that I think gives you some versatility now that he can play 2 positions, and he's athletic and he can rebound. You know, he gives you a chance to be versatile. We've talked a lot, you know, even pre-Mike's injury about how versatile our team is this year. And right now, I think that's going to come into play for us here moving forward, where a lot of our guys know multiple positions and we can move them around, and you know, hopefully that'll be a great benefit for us.
How did Rock come off the weekend physically after?
He's good. I practiced full go yesterday. I think it's just a matter of continuing to gain strength and in that area, and as well as conditioning. You know, for being able to play as hard as we're used to seeing Laurent play for long periods of time. And he'll get there, and it's going to be sooner, you know, than later. But yeah, he felt fine and was able to practice yesterday.
How's the team handling the news of Mike's injury?
I don't really, you know, it's interesting. I'm sure obviously they, you know, they care for Mike as a teammate. That's pretty evident. They know how much Mike cares for them. Mike is one of the greatest teammates I've ever seen, from the standpoint of, I've never probably coached a guy who's happier for someone else's success more than him. It's unbelievable. He just, whether it's, you know, tackling J. Cole after he makes the shot in Springfield, or you watch him on the bench when he's out, when guys make good plays, like we all can learn a great lesson, you know, from that. He loves it when others are successful and happy, and that's pretty cool. So from that standpoint, they know who Mike is as a person. They care about that. But they've been through it now. We've been through it for 2 years. What I would consider is really unprecedented. And at the same time, I think all that has really helped prepare them for situations like this. And they know what it takes, and they know that it's got to be next man up, and we don't have any choice. And we got to control what we can control, and not worry about the things that we can't control. And I think our guys certainly have embraced that mindset throughout the last year to 2, where we've had to deal with some of these things.
Back to the arena thing a little bit. I know for a couple of years now, when guys walk into your office, you know, the rendering up, and you talk to recruits about this is what we're going to have. What's it like knowing that it's here now and it's physically there in front of you?
It's awesome. You know, it was amazing, as I said, walking in there yesterday. It even shocked me because I hadn't been in there for about a month. But it's neat. I mean, it's a program changer. It's great to see it come to fruition and start to unfold before your eyes. You know, I think our guys are excited. Obviously, you notice right away how close the seats are to the court. That's a big change. And you know, the location of the Orange Crush, that's a big change. So I think, you know, it's really, I don't know another word to give you. It's awesome. It's a spectacular place, and you know, we're looking forward to playing in it, and looking forward to being home here at least for a little bit.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the Orange Crush? They played such a big part in the last 30 years or whatever, but they're really going to get a prominent spot here.
Oh, no question. I would love to be a student here right now and walk in there and see where my seat location is going to be. That's pretty neat, Jim. I mean, it's awesome. It'd be great to have them back. I really appreciate certainly the handful that came over to Springfield, but there's nothing like playing here. You know, you have a little bit more than a handful, and you know, we're excited to have them back, being a part of the environment, and I think they're really going to not only from seat location, but I think they're going to really, based on where they are sitting, going to change even more so the environment and the electricity in there. So, yeah, I'm excited for them.
You said program changer. In what ways does it change?
Oh, a lot of different ways. I think, you know, first of all, I told the story last night at the event last night. I mean, I just remember walking Kendrick Nunn in there. The first week I had the job, he wanted to go see it, hadn't been in there, and so we went over there, and it was all gray. And I blindfolded him and took it off and said, "Where are you right now?" He would have said, "I had no idea." But you're not going to say that anymore, because everything in there is orange and blue. You're going to know exactly where you are. You know, I thought, you know, I think that's big in recruiting. I think it's great for, you know, just in terms of, you know, momentum and, you know, facilities upgrade. You know, we needed that. You know, obviously the building has great tradition. You know, and it means a lot not only to our community, but and the campus, but the state. It's a phenomenal building, but it did need some renovations, and you know, obviously that took place. And, you know, now I think, you know, whether it's, you know, it's affected recruiting even to this point. You know, I think it will continue to do that moving forward. I think our guys are excited about it. I think that the game day atmosphere is going to be even better. You know, there's just a lot of pluses that go with it, let alone for the community and what that brings to our community, what that brings to the campus, to a student who maybe starts and has, you know, freshman convocation all the way to commencement or graduation, and you know what that building from you know, means here on our campus, means to the community. I mean, I just think it's a, you know, it's such a point. It's going to be a point of pride, and it should be. You know, it's going to be as once they get it fully completed, Jeremy, which we have one more off season, and they can do some things in what I call the underbelly, you know, locker rooms, etc. I think at that point, once that gets finished, I mean, it'll be, you know, one of the best. I know sometimes it gets overused, the word best, but one of the best in the country.
Do you expect Kendrick to be that effective right away?
Probably not. You know, I thought it would take maybe a little bit more time. Again, I probably left him out there a little too long in the second half the other night. That was on me. You know, he's not going to, you know, how you doing today? Good. How's it feel? Good. How we going to play tomorrow? Good. How's class? Good. I mean, he just is unflappable, so he's always going to, that's always going to be his response. You know, regardless of how he's feeling or what he's thinking, he's always going to tell you he's good. That's where he has a little bit of toughness to him, which I've said that before, brings an edge to our team. But, you know, I probably left him out there a little bit too long the other day. 2 games in 2 days, 30-some minutes. You know, he's still got a little bit of a ways to go conditioning-wise, but I'll be honest, I'll give Fletch a lot of credit for both him and Tate. Now, those guys were able to condition because their injuries were upper body, whereas LaRon's was lower. And Fletch did a good job with them, and their conditioning was better than what I thought. Their ability to move was really good. I would say they certainly exceeded my expectations, to be honest.
Coach, I know you said it before, but your first memories of Lou Henson, can you kind of elaborate?
Just the orange coat. I remember coming over. I remember TV games, watching him coach. I thought about, as I've said before, where I had the opportunity to, you know, even interview for the job and then ultimately come and become, you know, the head coach here at Illinois. That was a that was, I referenced it last night. I mean, that was one of the greatest days of my life, certainly professionally. To have an opportunity to be here. I mean, this is a special place. But Coach Henson was one of the first thoughts I had, for sure. And what I saw, again, was the orange jacket and him on the sidelines. And I remember watching the '89 team and how entertaining they were and how electric they were in transition. And those were some of my first thoughts, for sure. But I'll be honest with you, it's certainly, when you say his name now, not my first thought. My first thought is not good person, great person. That's my first thought. I know he's a really good basketball coach, but he's an unbelievable person.
Coach, how much is a challenge in the first full game without Big Mike and the guys filling in at the 5 to see Zach August on the other side?
Well, obviously, August is a good player. They've got other good players, as I referenced earlier. It'll be a great challenge, but I think our guys will look forward to, it's not a, basketball is not a, as you know, Derek, it's not a, it's not a track and field event or a wrestling match or, golf, although certainly there's team aspects to those as well. I certainly don't want to downplay that, but, it's a team, we're defending as a team, and that's what I'm trying to get them to understand right now. And it just takes one guy, let alone if you have a couple, not in the right position or making a mistake on a coverage to botch it for, everybody. It's kind of like, people that grow apples or for a living. When they take them to the market, it just takes one bad apple to infect the entire cart. And I think that's happened a little bit to us at times on defense. We're getting closer, but I think guys are understanding the relationship of how they have to be connected to guard the ball together. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting closer.
When you lose somebody big like Mike, do you have to change schemes defensively, or do you stay in the same system and just try?
You have to wrinkle and adapt. I don't know if you completely wholesale change. You don't do that. You certainly can't do that in 24 to 48 hours. But you have to wrinkle and adapt a little bit, adjust, and based on your team and what you know about your team and how quickly they pick things up. And, you have to adjust a little bit. There has to be a thought, at least certainly when that happens, of adapting a little bit, for sure. And then you have to decide, what are you adapting in 24 to 48 hours? What are you adapting long term? So there's certainly a balance there.
You recruited Demetrius Jackson. Is he turning into the player you thought?
Oh, he's a terrific player, and really impacts the game at both ends. We've played now against, it'll be him tomorrow night, Monte Morris, Chris Dunn. We've played against some of the nation's best point guards. And I'll be honest with you, the kid we played against on opening night, although maybe doesn't have quite the national notoriety as those names I just mentioned, I'm telling you, he's in their breath, the kid Dallas Moore. So we played against some really, really, really good point guards. And Demetrius certainly is, just like those guys, I think one of the best in the country. I think he affects the game at both ends of the floor. He's great in pick and roll situations offensively, has an ability to score and make his teammates better. And then defensively, I think, he can be very, very disruptive on that end of the floor. So, he's obviously a great player.
Do we have any questions from the phone lines?
Yeah, I have a couple. This is Shannon. Sorry if you were asked any of this, but I know you talked a lot about the arena so far, but it's just from a sense of an emotional lift it could give the team, maybe especially considering what's going on with Mike. Do you feel like, I don't know, it just kind of could give them a boost in that way? Yeah,
Shannon, we have to do our job and execute the game plan, and I want to be a team and a program that does that regardless of environment or location. And I know obviously that I am stating the obvious. At the same time, I gave our fans a lot of credit last year. I thought we had a lot of success at home and played really well here. And there were times where we were down bodies and, as I said, we went through a year to two here where it's, really kind of unprecedented with that. But I thought our crowd really made a difference, whether it was the Orange Crush or just our fans in general. You know, people are passionate about Illinois basketball, and we certainly appreciate that. And we appreciate our fans and the support that we get here at home. You know, do I think that it could be even maybe above the normal, whatever you would gauge that at tomorrow night in terms of electricity and excitement and in terms of the environment? Sure. You know, do I think that could help give us a boost? I certainly hope so. But at the end of the day, for us to play well, we have to guard, and we have to try to make them miss and rebound when they do, and take care of the ball and try to work hard to get shots that we can make. You know, I shared that with the guys the other day, and sometimes it can be people make it more complex probably than what it is, and really it's a beautiful game, but it's also simplistic in a way if you can do those things. So, you know, that's really what we've got to do moving forward, not just tomorrow night, but, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't, you know, at least acknowledge I do think it's going to be pretty special in there tomorrow night. I do think there'll be some electricity in the arena for sure with it opening. And I also think, obviously, the acknowledgement of Coach Henson as well will bring an element to it. So, you know, I don't think those things certainly are bad things. I'm hoping they're good things and can give our team a boost.
I know you don't want to use it as an excuse at all, but just all of the travel and with the young team, do you feel like that's had a bit of an effect? Or, I mean, you probably can't really underestimate how that can affect young guys sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's hard to put a gauge on that, Shannon. You know, it's hard to do that. Or, you know, I'll be honest. Have I changed some things in terms of length of practice, or how we practice, or how many reps Hill's getting right now, or trying to be aware of the travel and the, you know, 13 or 14 days and nights in hotels? And yes, I mean, I would be misleading you if I didn't say otherwise. You know, we've tried to adapt and adjust based on circumstance, but we always do that based on circumstance, trying to do what's best for our team. You know, was that a little different? Yeah, it was different. Is a variable? Yeah, but we all have to deal with variables. Whether it's in athletics or life, we have to deal with those things. So we adapted a little bit, yes. It certainly was on my mind in terms of preparing for practice and how many reps guys were getting and how long we went and whether we were traveling or not and what time we got back, and, you know, but I'll be honest with you, all those things factor in every year. It just so happened that this past month it was, you know, a little bit more than normal. I don't know if that answers your question. It's not a perfect science, unfortunately, but we're trying to balance all of it to the best of our ability.
Yeah, and just the last thing for me is the story you told about Kendrick and blindfolding him and walking into the arena. When did that happen? Or you're going to fill in the details of?
Yeah, I didn't literally blindfold him, but obviously I'd recruited him at Ohio. He was the first player to visit the campus when I got the job here, him and his dad, and he wanted to go over and see the arena. He hadn't been in the arena, and I said, hey, sure. And of course my previous recollection of it was the day that I was hired and what it looked like the day of the press conference. Basically relatively close to a game day setup, maybe not identical but close. And of course when I took him over there that day, there was little to no orange and blue anywhere. And that was the first thing I thought of last night when I got up to speak in front of, you know, all the people that were there to, you know, take a look at their premium seating. And we had a great event last night. It was very well put together, and it was really neat. But, you know, as I walked up to the podium and you look around, I mean, everything's orange and blue. It's such a drastic change, you know, from what would have been April 2012 till now. And obviously a lot of people have had their hands in creating a very, 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 very special arena. You know, I gave a lot of credit certainly to our donors that stepped up. You know, I tell the players the greatest gift God gives us is the gift to choose, and they chose to invest in our community, our campuses, and our basketball programs, future. And, we'll certainly always be indebted to them for that. We're very thankful for all of their support.
All right, thanks so much.
Sure. Lauren, did you have another one there?
Well, I was gonna take you off subject a little bit, and I think everything's gonna go in one direction. I just wanted you to look back on this month. From a Big Ten perspective, have we suffered more setbacks this year than normal, or am I just imagining it?
You track that probably more than I do. I know some of the scores here and there. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm so bad about, unless it's someone we're playing, like you may say to me, this team they've lost one. And I'd be like, is that right? And deep down you're like, I just said that to them. They've really lost 3 or 4. Like, I have no idea. I don't follow that stuff. My assistants probably follow it a little bit more maybe, but I don't have time for that, unfortunately. I have a feel here and there maybe for some scores, or I'll hear one somebody's talking about on the bus, but like, I'm not a good person to ask like that question to, because I'd have to look at it first and maybe look at everybody's schedule and who they've played and how the outcomes of, what outcomes have taken place to answer that accurately, and or to offer even an educated opinion. So, I don't know, maybe. I'm not sure, because I need more information on that.
Is that everything? Okay.
Thanks, guys.
For those of you coming over